All right. So let's get into the Texas border shenanigans that's going on. And one of the things that I'm enjoying is that somehow the Biden administration is trying to sell us on the idea that the barbed wire fencing is getting in the way of controlling our border. For some reason, the border would be in a better position if it was just that area was left open. For some reason, they are trying to convince us that an item that is hard to maneuver through is actually making the country less secure, right? If you had your back lawn, you didn't want anyone coming into it, and you put up a barbed wire fence so that no one could easily get in or out, for some reason, your backyard would actually be more exposed. That's the argument from the Biden administration. They care about the border just as much as you and I do. They don't just want anyone coming in over here. And if we're going to put barbed wire between the people on the other side and our side, it will be easier for those people to enter. This is getting in the way of the Biden administration's more serious policy plans for how they can control our border. So let's give this a watch of Dookie grilling Kirby about what's going on.
Thank you, John. Why are you guys making it easier for people to enter the country illegally?
I don't believe we are. Why do you think we are?
Well, you guys sued to cut razor wire that was put in place by Texas officials.
So that the Border Patrol could actually do their jobs. But keep going.
Well, you won in court. So now what? The Border Patrol Union president is saying the Supreme Court's decision is going to undoubtedly encourage more illegal immigration. Do you guys know better than the Border Patrol Union?
The Border Patrol needed access, and that's why we sued to get rid of that razor wire so that they could do their jobs. And you know what would also help them do their jobs, Peter? More Border Patrol agents. There's an idea. And if you go back to the supplemental request that we put in, there's money in there for some 1,300 additional Border Patrol agents. We want to help them do their jobs. We want to give them more resources. And the answer we keep getting back from House Republicans is no, no, no.
Does razor wire work?
Does razor wire work for what? Does it work for the Border Patrol to allow them to have the access they need to be able to better process people that are trying to get across the border? I don't think so, and that's why we asked for it to be removed.
But what
Does border wire work to better process people? So you're trying to get more people in? Is that what you're saying? The agenda is that literally what he just said? The agenda is we're trying to get as many people in as possible, and we're trying to process them. And if there's some sort of an item that's actually keeping the people from getting in, then we can't properly process them. So the goal of the Biden administration is to process as many illegal immigrants as possible. And if the illegal immigrants can't actually enter the country because there's something getting in their way, that's getting in the way of us processing the individuals. I think that's literally what he just said, is that an item that would keep people out will get in the way of the Border Patrol being able to process the people into America. Let's continue.
is the president's plan? This is happening just weeks after 300,000 people came into this country over the southern border illegally. The razor wire officials down there think was keeping some of them out. And you guys just sued and won to remove it.
On behalf of the Border Patrol, who needed to have better access to it. Look, let me go back to your other question. And I know I'm running short on.
It's quite a spin. It's quite a spin. You've got people pouring over the border and you want to keep them out. They put an item in the way of these people coming in. The Biden administration goes, we need to remove that item in order to secure the border because the Border Patrol needs access. What does that mean? The Border Patrol needs it to be, what do they need access to? What is there? Is there like a magical wall underneath? It's like there's a hatch there. And if they could get the access to the hatch, then the actual better wall would come up from the ground. But what happened was when they put up the barbed wire is they prevented the access to the hatch that will allow them to actually secure the border. It's a hell of a spin. All right, so let's take a look at some more of what's going on down at the Texas border. You've got 25 Republican governors back Texas and escalating border standoff with the U.S. government, which is fun. You've got, firstly, I guess the Supreme Court, they didn't give us a reason, but for some reason, They said that the federal government has the right to keep Texas from putting up its own items to secure the border. I don't know why the Supreme Court made that ruling. They didn't give us any reason, but for some reason, they decided with the Biden administration that Texas needs to allow the federal government to come in and remove this. And then Texas basically said, you can go fuck yourselves. We're keeping this stuff. You know why? Because there's an invasion here. And you guys, I should have actually pulled up the exact note, but either there's an invasion into our country. You guys aren't doing your part. And you can't tell me that the founders of our country want all these people pouring over the border and wouldn't even let us put up a fence to keep them out. Right? And so now you've got 25 other governors going, we support Texas. And I think that this is going to be a win of forcing the Biden administration to actually come in by force, remove the barbed wire, and then explain to us why that was better for the border. I mean, you're really we're really going to get a look into just how open the Biden administration wants that border. When they forcibly come in, they take down the barbed wire, they replace it with nothing. Hopefully someone just puts up a 24-hour camera of where that barbed wire was and how many immigrants just start pouring over after it's removed. Just a 24/7 cam, get a little counter going right then and there. Maybe we can get broadcasters on the border and you can do it like a sporting event and tell you about, oh, there's another one just crossed the line. Maybe you can get out there. You can start doing touchdown dances every time someone else comes into America. Maybe we can get trackers like they do on wildlife, and you can see how far into America they make it, what kind of processing centers that these people go through. How are they possibly going to sell that to the American public? Would they forcibly go in there, they remove a makeshift border wall, replace it with nothing, and then just people start pouring back over it again? So I think that this is a win. I think actually pushing the Biden administration to the point where they have to show up with the military and pull this thing down to replace it with nothing and really show the American people how important it is to this administration that border remain open. I don't think that could possibly be a win. And I like forcing government's hand to actually exert its full authority, because you guys remember during COVID what they did. They go, we didn't force you. We didn't force you. Sure, we threatened your company, which then threatened your job, but there was no force here. So it's good to actually put it on the line and make them go, yes, we did force you. We do rule over you. You are not allowed to have a secure border, even if that's what you want, even if you're in your own independent state, even if this is what every voter in this state wants. We're the federal government. We are your overlords, and we are going to show up and we are going to dictate that you have to allow these illegal immigrants into your country. I think that's good. Now, what I think Texas should do in return is they should pull Bugs Bunny moves. They should take down the barbed wire, put up a fence, take down the fence, put up some spears, take down the spears, and then put up like poles that are real slippery and stuff. And then you take that down, and then I don't know, maybe throw some wild animals out there. You take that down, you put up some mines. You take down the mines, then you go back to a fence with a different style of barbed wire. Just Bugs Bunny tricks. Then you get a catapult. People come in, they catapult back. Or a slide system. You come in, and then a thing opens up, and boom, you're back on the other side. And you're like, damn, I just worked so hard. Maybe even a water slide, so it's a good time until you end up back on your side or something. I can't think through all the possibilities of what we could be putting up there, but I'm just saying, you take down the barbed wire, you put up a fence, you just keep putting up new items every single day. You know, they got to go back to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's got to be like, shit, we have to pretend like we're going to rule on this thing again. Once again, we have to tell them that they have to take that thing down without any reason for it, and just keep putting up some new item. I don't know. We can get funding for this. The Bugs Bunny Border Fund of America, where every single day we put up some new item and let the federal government come in with its bulldozers and take it down. And on that note, I did appreciate this, but apparently the move does not, let me read the line. This is from BBC. The move does not appear to violate the Supreme Court order, which granted permission for the removal of existing wire while saying nothing about adding new barriers. So there you go. It's within Texas's right that it could just keep adding more and more barbed wire for the federal government to have to come down there and take down. And by the way, while the federal government's down there taking down barbed wire, that might be a pretty secure border. If every single day the federal government's got to show up and they got to take down more barbed wire, how much footage can you have of people just crossing the border while the federal people are just there letting them cross and removing the barbed wire for them to do so? At what point does it look like the people standing outside of a club and they're just moving like the red ropes so that people can come in? Where, every single day the Biden administration's down there removing barbed wires so that immigrants can just walk straight into the country. That footage can't look good. So there you go. Apparently, they ruled that the barbed wire had to come down, but they didn't make any ruling about Texas putting up more barbed wire. This was another line from the BBC. The Justice Department has argued that the fencing hampers the work of Border Patrol agents and that it poses a danger to both migrants and law enforcement. Some of the illegal immigrants have cut themselves on the wire. That's the danger it poses, is that people who will ignore the fact that there's barbed wire there might get into, isn't that the point of barbed wire? It's like if I have guard dogs on my property and someone illegally enters my property and they get attacked by the guard dogs, isn't that the point of the guard dogs? Is that so that other people don't try it and then they know don't do it and then it doesn't get done anymore? Isn't that the point of it? All right. I think I had one more article on this guy. This is from the Daily Mail. Texas National Guard puts up more razor wire Shelby Park and Eagle Pass after SCOTUS ruling that Border Patrol can cut the barrier across the southern border. So there was one line I wanted to read on this. Federal officials claim it endangers safety and gets in the way of rescue efforts, while the state says it stops the flow of migrants. Rescue efforts, because like I've said, it sounds like they're trying to process as many people in as possible. All right, let's take a couple comments, move on to the next topic. But before we do, let's plug our loyal sponsor of the show, YoKratom.com, home of the $6 kilo. If you are into Kratom products, there's only one place in the entire world that you can get an entire kilo of Kratom for just $60. So if you're into the Kratom stuff, you want to get it for the best possible price, go to YoKratom.com, home of the $60 point. All right, let's take a couple comments here. First, we've got, please usually listen to these podcasts, never watch live. Totally different experience. Wow.